Hey y'all, I'm Blaine Phillips.
And I'm Phillips-LeVan.
We're married, like just a minute ago, but we've been together for 14 years.
We have a teenage daughter.
Which means she's basically an adult, right?
We're also growing a business on the side together.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Through all of that, we've learned how to improve so many aspects of our lives and show up in an amazing way.
So we decided to host a podcast to share our journey with you.
It's called Let's Do Life Together, because that's just what we want to do with you.
So if you could use some tips and tricks on how to make life a little smoother,
then you're in the right place.
Come on in and let's do life.
We opened the door this morning to head to the gym, and there it was. It was kind of, I don't know if I can go so far as to say crisp, but there was a little coolness in the air, which means it's so close. Fall is coming. But for now, it's September. We're already in September, which means fall is just around the corner. It's also back to school season here. Kids here where we are in Virginia go back to school after Labor Day. So it's back to school. It's back to those after school activities, whether your kid plays sports or piano or whatever it is that they do. It's a new season, however you want to shake it. I think that after Labor Day kind of marks the end of summer, the beginning of fall, and the step into a new season. And that's what we want to talk about today, is how to show up for the people in your lives that you care the most about in this new season.
Yeah, it's almost like another New Year's, kind of. We always look for opportunities to have a second or third New Year's and just kind of a reset and refocus and set new intentions or renew your commitments to prior intentions and just start fresh.
You know how I love a new anything. I love a new day. So a new season, a new anything gets me excited. And I think it's just a good reminder to always check in. I'm not saying daily or weekly even, but every so often check in with the people in your lives that matter and see how you're showing up for them. And are they showing up for you, how you need them to? I know we've talked about this a little bit before, but we're going to talk about it specifically in this season. So Jason, start us out. How do you define showing up for someone? This should be interesting.
Well, so showing up, I think the first part of showing up for somebody is understanding what that means to them too. So what do they need? So there's a couple of different aspects of it. I think there's the ways that you can actually show up for people or do things for people or be there for people. And then there's what they actually need at this time, like what they need right now. So it's a combination. It's not just you get to decide what you're going to do for people or how you're going to act.
Yeah, that's a great point. And for me, I kind of preach on this all the time. Like, showing up is so important to me. As for me personally, when someone shows up for me in the ways that I value, let me make that very clear, because we all have things that, if someone brings a casserole over, that might impress the poo out of you and not so much to me. Like, what does it mean to show up? But when someone truly shows up for me in the ways that they know it's meaningful to me, that is like the bee's knees. Like, I can't even tell you how impactful that is. And when I give that to someone, when I've invested in them and I know how they like to be shown up for or how they need to be shown up for in that season, and then I do that for them, that makes me feel good on the inside. It feels good to do good things. So that's showing up, being present for them, being helpful in whatever they need. But the key is, how do they need you to show up? Because just because you decided they need a casserole in their lives, they may not need a casserole in their lives. So that's the first step really in showing up, is knowing what showing up means to them.
Right. Sometimes it's physically showing up, and if somebody's in the hospital and just checking in and going and just saying, here I am if you need something. Oftentimes, if somebody has a problem or crisis, there's a lot of empty offers of what do you need. And generally, people will say nothing, just thoughts and prayers or some kind of basic thing. But those are situations I think you can just do a thing, just do something. Either just go there, visit, take something, just show up in your way, and oftentimes they'll appreciate that.
I guess I would counter you on that a little bit. I don't know. This happened just this week. For example, we have a friend who contacted us and he ended up in the hospital. And when something like that happens, like he was in the hospital a couple days and it was scary and he had to have a procedure and some tests. And first it hit us like a ton of bricks. Like he's like one of the healthiest humans we know. And we're like, what? He's in the hospital? What's going on? And then my knee-jerk reaction, always, this is me, when something happens to someone that I care about, is to do. I want to go and do. I want to make a casserole. I want to show up. I want to sit by your bed and hold your hand. Like, I don't know. I want to just, if you tell me to cut your grass and that would be helpful in your life, that's what I want. I just want to do something for you. That's me. That's at my core. But that's not always what they need. So I guess I would kind of challenge what Jason says sometimes. Like if you have that person in the hospital and you say sincerely, is there anything I can do for you? It's important to, I think there has to be a differentiation, a sincerity to it. Not that blanket, well, if you need anything, we're here. Like everybody likes to toss that out. If you need anything, we're here. But no, a serious like, is there anything I can do for you? Even feel free to list those things. Do you need some meals? Do you need anything done around the house? Could I give someone a ride? Like, sincerely, is there anything I could do for you? And if they say no, maybe that you have to trust that that is their answer, because some people aren't interested in you showing up in their most vulnerable state to drop off a casserole when they look a hot mess express because they've been in the hospital for 2 days. And that for them would make them feel way more uncomfortable than the casserole that you're dropping off. So find that boundary there, I guess. Yes, you want to do, but maybe doing means buying a gift card and mailing it to them versus respecting their wishes. Make sure that you're sincerely expressing that you are there to help them, but you are respecting the boundary of what they need in that particular season.
Right, because if they need rest and recovery, they don't necessarily need 20 different people coming and going all day. That's not going to help them rest and recover.
Which is so my knee jerk of what I want to do. I'm like, oh, let's go. I just want to give them a hug and bring a casserole. I'm from the South, you know.
And then also, depending on how close you actually are, you may or may not know the rest of the support group that they have and what they've got going on. So in this example, we know he's active in his church, and I'm sure he's got like a small group that he's involved in, and I would assume, and we don't know for certain, I would assume that that kind of bring the casseroles would immediately go to like that kind of group.
Yeah.
But
we're not super close with him, so we don't really know. We just have to kind of find our place. But if it's your best friend, your ride or die, and you know that they need you to come do the laundry and bring the casserole and that's what they want, then that's what they need. So who should you check in with this season? Like we're talking about fall and the season change and making sure you're showing up. So who would we say are the heavy hitters of the people in your life that you should check in with? Jason, pop quiz. Who's the number one person you should check in with, brother?
Well, I would say we start from the inside and work out to the smaller group. So
you make it sound so romantic, starting from the inside and working out. Oh, Jason, you melt my heart, as usual.
Start with those closest to you. So your partner, that's number one. And that's just checking in. That's just resetting expectations, not assuming anything that, it's carried over from previous seasons or what have you.
Summertime is different. We're in a new season. So what's going on for them right now? Do they have a big project at work? Do they have something that they're working towards? Are they feeling good in their bodies, or is that a focus? They want to focus on their health right now. Where are they at? So you make sure that you're giving them what they need. This is a big one for us that we always check in when school starts back. Like I mentioned earlier, so do after school activities. And I'm typically the one that drive Sienna to and fro, and I'm happy to do that. It's a blessing that I get to do that, and Jason is the full-time worker, but sometimes I have things too. And so we just need to check in like, hey, Sienna is signing up for track, and track is going to mean that she has practices or tryouts or whatever on these days. I'm not going to be able to get her on this day. Can you do that? How can I get that time back in your day? How about you take Friday afternoons to yourself to make sure that you're getting in your self-care or your tasks around the house that you need done, like whatever. Let's make sure just from a scheduling perspective that, hey, I need you to do the carpool this afternoon, but I know that's typically a time that you pay the bills. So let me make sure that I give that time back to you on Friday afternoon. I got carpool and you do the bills or take a nap, whatever you need to do.
Yeah, so we recently kind of did that where we've got our weekly kind of goals and tasks that we want to do, food prep, and there's what I call clicks. So it's staying on top of our expense tracking and checking all those things and just setting a new time. When are we going to do that?
Because this mama would much rather prep the sheet pan omelet for the week than she would to pay the bills. Thanks.
Right. But also, you fall into that, level of guilt where it looks like I'm just sitting there at the computer and you guys are slaving away in the kitchen. But it's having that conversation. All right, this is time. I don't like falling behind on that kind of bookkeeping side of things, so making it part of that weekly schedule.
Yeah, and we bring Sienna into it as well. Like, what does she need? We bring her into that conversation of, hey, this is Daddy's time that he's going to be editing podcasts or he's going to be paying the bills. So he's not just chilling over there behind the computer, like playing his best video game. What if you played video games? That'd be funny. He's not chilling, like, because sometimes we all know that when you sit behind a computer and people don't know what you're doing, it can deceive you while we're like, cleaning the bathrooms and cutting strawberries and doing the things. It doesn't look like he's doing as much as us. But as long as there's transparency and everybody knows what's actually going on, then you're okay. And asking your spouse, like, hey, I know you've got these big things, so how can I help you? What do you need? Is there a task that you do that I can take from you? Is there a certain level of encouragement that I can say? What can I do to help you get through the season? How do you need me to show up for you right now?
So there's that aspect of doing things, but then there's also, all right, if it's this season, I'm going to focus on, sticking with my nutrition plan. Well, so for me, if that's one of your focuses, a way I could show up is not come in and at the end of the week and say, oh, you guys just want to order pizza. Because yes, we do want to order the pizza, but that doesn't help fulfill your goals.
Yeah, that's important. And so he needs to know that that's a focus area of mine. And then he needs to know that that's how he can help me to show up, help me get moving, help me to know we're not ordering the pizza.
Right.
Don't even ask about the pizza.
Right. You show up by saying, oh, it's bedtime, so that we can get good sleep, so you can get up and do your yoga retreat that you've been doing. And start the day fresh. Because it's easy to stay up and eat the snacks and watch, have downtime and watch shows, but it has a different impact on the rest of your day the next day.
And it's really easy if your partner is sitting right there, like supporting that, but that's not what you want to be doing. So then you're beating yourself up, and it puts a rift between you guys of like, oh, he talked me into ordering that pizza and he really didn't, but that's who you're going to blame. Like that creates a sticky situation as well.
Yeah. So, the other part is, maybe everything is just fine and you're not really changing anything for that season, but it's just taking this time as a trigger to have that discussion and say, is this working? Okay, great. We'll just keep doing that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the next person, if you're working from the inside out in Jason's very romantic way, is talk to your kids. If you have kids, like what's going on with them as it's a new school year? What what has changed for them? Do you know their schedule? Do you know what's going on? Are there certain days that they're going to be at school longer than others, certain mornings? What's going on? What class are they worried about that's going to be a little bit harder? And how do they need you to support them? I think that is so important. And I'm guilty of it, of not honoring the fact that she has ways she needs me to show up for her too. Like, yes, we are the parents, and yes, we have the experience, but we don't know it all. Like, we are not the end all be all. Yes, it's true. We don't know it all. I like to pretend like I know it all to her, but we don't. And you can't just decide that you know how to show up for your kid. I mean, you can, but you're not always speaking their language. So when you're nagging them about that project that needs to be done and it's having the opposite effect, like, you need to have a conversation. Like, what do you really need? Like, yes, you're the parent, and yes, it's your job to push them and make sure that they turn the project in on time. But what can you do at the front end of things to make that process smoother? What actually motivates them? Is it you being like, hey, girl, go do your project? Or is it like, hey, I'm going to be doing this afternoon, and that means you've got an hour of time to yourself. That's a great time to go work on your project. I've carved out this hour for you. Here you go. Like, what do they need?
And each kid is different. Some are the type that as soon as something gets assigned, they're going to come home and knock it out. Others procrastinate. So it's kind of up to you to have an idea of what's coming up. So if you have a kid who wants to, put things off, well, okay, that's great. But if you want to have family fun day on Sunday afternoon, but they have a project they have to do that's due Monday, well, then they can't do that. So, keeping them in the loop of the scheduling type of things and just planting the seeds, give them opportunities to make decisions for them, not just say, go do your homework.
Yeah, they need your help to just point things out to them. Like, hey, you've got this project. You also have practice 3 nights this week, which means you're not going to have time to get to your project. So you might want to look at your schedule and figure out when you're going to squeeze that in. They need to be empowered to make their own choices, but with you guiding them there. Here's a fun fact. You know how we love our whiteboard in our house? We did an episode a while back about that. You can feel free to check it out if you haven't listened, but we love our dry erase board, whiteboard, whatever you want to call it. It's my jam. It's been a couple weeks. Sienna loves to talk about the fact that she doesn't like a list. I don't like lists. She's like anti-list because Jason and I are all things list, but she's like, I don't like lists. I'm like, all right, whatever, girl. And so I started in the evenings, like she would go to bed before we did, and then there would be things that I would think like, oh, I should tell her in the morning, like, this is what's up. It's always been helpful to all of our kids to front load them as much information as you can in the beginning so they know what the expectations for that day, for that event, for whatever is going on. And so I just started writing notes on the board at night, like kind of like a little schedule. There was no time or anything, nothing. It was not structured or rigid, but like the bullet points of what was happening the next day. And this really started towards the end of the summer because she was here all the time. And I would just write it. And she would say, and I didn't call it out to her. I didn't anything. She made some comment one day, I don't look at that list. Okay, that's fine. And it would just prompt me to remind her about things. And then I noticed she's looking at the list. She'd say things to me like, wait, well, that wasn't on the list for today. Or then things would happen and she would start taking them off the list, like crossing them off.
She loves crossing things off the list.
Yeah, for the girl who hates lists, she loves to cross things off the list. So then one morning I hadn't written a list and she woke up and she's like, well, where's my today's list? And I was like, oh, you mean the list that you don't ever look at? Mommy, you know I look at the list. But just something as simple as that. It was a way that I could show up for her. And so now I do the list every day. And it's not like rigid. It's not structured. There's not a time. Like I said, it's just some bullet points of, hey, these are the things that are going on. So we don't want to forget them. We have church and we have this and we have to knock out food prep. And so it's not surprising to her at the end of the night about what's going on. And that's a way that I can show up for her in this season. 2 months from now, she might actually stop looking at the list and hate it, but currently she likes it and it's working for us.
She also likes her Google Calendar, where we brought her into the fold and created the family shared calendar. She's all about that.
You would have think she got her driver's license when she was so excited when he brought her into the Google Calendar mix. There's emojis all over my Google Calendar now. I don't even know.
Right. Plus Alexa will tell her what's on her calendar. She's turned the corner.
Yes, we're bringing her over to our side. We're making it fun, quote unquote, for her. She just doesn't realize we're converting her step by step. The next group I would say to check in with are your friends, those other close relationships that you have in your life. What's going on with them right now? When is the last time you really asked your close friends, like, what is going on with you? Because if you don't work together, you might not know that it's a really hard season in their work life, but that's affecting their whole life. It's their family. It's their mom sick. What's going on with them? And what might they need from you? Just because what you've always done as their friend worked, it doesn't mean it's going to work right now. So just a quick check-in. How can I show up for you in this season?
Right. So some jobs, have different seasons where it's super busy or stressful. That particular job, it might be their fiscal year ends and they have to, do a bunch of physical inventory and accounting type things. Or, if they're tax professionals, when, that time of year comes around that they're going to be stressed. So that might be the time where you just, you're not going to take them for girls' night because they don't have time, but send them a little note or just reach out, send them that Starbucks gift card.
Yeah. And I think one thing at our age that we're starting to see is some of our friends are starting to deal with their parents having illnesses or going through treatments or different things. And that's a big toll, especially if they live near their parent and they have a big role in helping them, taking them to doctors, paying their bills, all of that. Like just the act of helping them through it, not to mention the emotional calling that it's taking on them. So if you have someone going through something big in their life, a sick child, a sick parent, and they're your friend, like, what do they need? Do they need the casserole? Do they need you to go sit with them at the doctor's office one day while they're sitting there waiting on their parent to receive treatment and you just be the funny? Do they need you to show up for coffee or do they not? Do they just want to hunker down, put their head down and get through the thing? And then every once in a while they would like a little note from you that lets you know that you haven't stopped thinking about them. Right. And only they can answer that. Do not assume that what you're doing is what they need.
Do they need a break from it all? Do they need a lunch date where you don't talk about their dying parent?
Oh, what a good point. So, what a good point.
And then same thing is back to school time. Well, maybe their back to school is they just sent their youngest kid to college and there's nobody in the house. Like it's a different kind of season altogether. Or the kid's just starting high school and the kid's stressed too. The whole family's stressed. Like it's a lot in the kids' activities. It's all the things. Just having that awareness and understanding that everybody's going through something all the time. And the seasons change and there's different triggers for different stresses.
I think it's important to mention that neither you nor me or anyone else can be all the things for anybody. That you can't. So please don't put that pressure on yourself. I can't be everything that Jason needs. And I can't be everything that Sienna needs and my pastor and my friends and all the things. You can't do that. You remember, you better be filling your bucket up first. We've talked about self-care many times here so that you can take care of other people around you. But this is just a reminder, just a reminder that seasons change. Just like the leaves are going to fall, seasons of life are going to change. So it's just a good point to check in with the people that you're closest to. And just because your friend says, yeah, a casserole would be really helpful, that does not become your full-time job to take a casserole to her house 4 days a week. Like, that's not sustainable. She has other people in her life. Jason's cup is filled through me, through our gym, through his kids, through his work. Like, we're all getting filled up in different directions. But if you are intentional with your little piece, then that will go a long way. I don't want you to put that pressure on yourself that you're supposed to be the everything to whomever it is bucket you're trying to fill, because you're not.
Right. So I think if you really need to start, if we go back, you probably should have started with ourselves before partners, because you have to have that awareness and just take some time and think about, all right, what do I need? Do I need to do something different? Do I need support from, my circle? To how do I need my people to show up for me? And that could be, I need you to, let me have 10 minutes where I go meditate, whatever it is. But it's start with yourself, understand what you need, and then have the conversation with your circle and see what everybody needs. Just check in.
Yeah, you need to ask for it. That's important. And it's okay to ask for it. Not just okay, but you have my permission to ask for it. I think I want to make a side note here. Like, sometimes we all know we go through big things in life. There are deaths in our circle. There are major illnesses. There are weddings and new babies and those major life milestones. And many of them have okay, someone dies, you go to the funeral, you take the casserole. Okay, there's a new baby. Then you stay away for a few weeks, you send a gift, and then you bring on the mom brigade of the foods. And this is a reminder that those things, just because they are the society status quo, are not necessarily what they want. So even in the big moments, even in the big seasons, it's still good to check in, because I'm betting you've gone through one of those things in your life. Your parent was sick, your spouse was sick, someone died, you had a new baby, and you ended up with 47 broccoli casseroles in your fridge that you didn't want. You actually are allergic to broccoli, or you hate them and you had to throw it away. So just check in with those people, because how they need you to show up is not always how you want to or how your knee-jerk reaction is to do. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to one thing. What is it, Jason?
Have that conversation.
Have a conversation.
Figure it out. Figure out what your people need. Figure out what you need and what your people need.
The most important thing you can do in any relationship, be it the closest ones to you, all the way out and the ripples in between, is just be transparent. Just have a conversation. Ask them and tell them. Tell them what you need. Ask them what they need. That's all. I mean, that's pretty much the life lesson for everything. You're going to get a lot further if you just communicate. That's it. All right. Well, we started the episode by opening the door and telling you that I could smell fall a little bit. As the day has gone on, it's warmed up and fall is far away, but in reality, it's really not that far. So as we head in and the days do they get shorter or longer? Which is it? They get shorter?
Shorter.
As the days get shorter, check in with those people, have those conversations, and let's embark on a new season knowing what's going on in all the areas. Until next time.